recording this session, so this is going to be recorded, so you can watch it at a later time. So welcome, everyone. My name is Tom Tarduano. I'm from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, and I'm in the Office of Financial Aid. And this session is specifically for international students in the following departments: astronomy, chemistry, physics, psychology, and statistics. So we'll be entering the PhD program in the fall of 2024. So welcome. So basically, we're going to have an introduction, go over the webinar overall, give an overview to your PhD funding, where it comes from, what is covered, your tuition and your fees, and there are a few fees that are not covered. Your housing is going to be your responsibility. We'll cover that later as well. And in terms of who's eligible for the medical insurance, you have dependents that are covered as well, fully covered. So we'll talk about all the PhD funding, the sources, and how you receive your salary and what you need to do now to make sure you are able to obtain your salary at the earliest possible date in September. The registration, very important. The enrollment categories, you'll hear this over and over again. It's unusual from other institutions, but for Columbia's graduate program in the arts and sciences, we have enrollment categories. And this is something you want to become familiar with. You have to enroll for courses, but you also have to enroll for an enrollment category each semester. If you don't enroll for the enrollment category, it's as though you are not registered. Okay, so we're going to give the timing of everything that's coming up, what the steps are you should be taking, you can take now. And also we'll have a Q&A at the end with my colleague, Kate Jenkins, or you can ask in the Q&A as we're going through the session. So going to the next slide. Okay, so welcome to Columbia. These are the people who will be important to you. So in your department, the acronym is DGS, and that stands for the Director of Graduate Studies, and that's a faculty member in your department who works very closely with the chair in your department. And they are basically academic, but they also have financial aspects to their job and their responsibilities. And they work in concert with the DAF, and the DAF is the Director of Academic Administration and Finance. And this is a liaison for our office that we often deal with. The financial aid office will go to the DAF, but this is the first person you want to go to if you have any questions about your funding or when things will be due, or any paperwork that you have to fill out to make sure that you are on the payroll. That is the first person you go to, and they can help you with coursework and signing up, and they understand the enrollment categories as well. So this is a point person that you start with. And of course, you can come to the financial aid office, either email or call, or you can come into our office in 107 Low Library, and you can check the link that's right below financial aid, and that gives you the directory of your liaison in the financial aid office. And there are three members that deal with the financial aid, and my name is Tom, and I deal with the students in the natural sciences. So the students listening to this webinar essentially would be coming to me to ask any questions, and my colleagues are Sandra Peters and Kate Jenkins, and they deal with the students in the humanities and social science, essentially. So there's also other sources of financial aid that may not be obvious, may not come through the financial aid office, but could come through other offices at GSAS, the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Would be Student Affairs, Compass, which is the placement office, and Diversity and Inclusion. So you want to also watch our newsletter that comes out twice a month, and there are opportunities in there for scholarships maybe to apply to. You are fully funded students, so your cost of attendance essentially is met by your funding through the graduate school and your department and your grants from your PIs. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so let's take a PhD funding overview for the international students. So your tuition and fees are covered by the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences in concert with your department. And there are, we'll get to the fees that are not included, but for the most part, everything is included. Your full tuition is included. Your health insurance, your health service fee are included for you and your eligible dependents, if applicable. So you have full medical insurance coverage for them if they are eligible. And I think that opens July 15th. And you can go to the health website at columbia.edu, and you can see all of the forms that you need to fill out. And if you choose to waive your medical insurance, you can go on that site as well, and the waiver form is there if you choose to waive. But every student must be covered by the medical insurance. So I think even if you have a national coverage from your country, you need to accept the medical insurance from Columbia University, and it is fully paid. So it's no cost out of your pocket. So you have living expenses as well. So essentially, the students will be living in Columbia housing. You will need to pay that rent individually every month, and you will receive money as salary. It'll come in semi-monthly. And if everything goes as well as possible, you will receive your first paycheck by September 16th, 17th, or 18th, and you need to do all of the steps necessary to get that first check going, and then you receive it semi-monthly. You will have essentially teaching appointments to students in the first year. Occasionally, the other university appointment you may hold is a graduate research assistant. So that is for students who are being paid from a grant. And these are the websites where you can find more information about doctoral students' fellowships, and it gives very detailed information. And we also have a link to our tax information. We as administrators are not allowed to give any tax advice for liability purposes, but we give you all the resources that you can find the information with the links to the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. And we also host a separate webinar in the spring as we approach the tax deadline, and watch for that information being publicized in February and March of next year. So we're on the next next slide, PhD funding overview. So the students at this webinar, the links under E3B, math and statistics, those are 3 departments that are considered 9-month departments. And so you can find more information about your PhD funding overview. For the other natural sciences, which are 12-month departments, which are bench sciences in labs over the summer as well, the link for that information is found on the right below where it says other natural sciences. And this will be available, this deck will also be available later on. We're going to have with this webinar on a YouTube channel, and it also will have the deck from this presentation. So you can also do those links and find these links easily without having to hunt for them. Excuse me. Okay, so for guaranteed housing, you have housing guaranteed for 5 academic years. So there's the link to Columbia Housing with all the details that are involved there. Your housing is charged on your student bill every month, so you have to pay it through your student bill. You will receive salary from the university, and that salary will turn around and you will pay out of that salary, you will pay your housing charge every month. And you want to keep up with your housing charges. For students who become delinquent on their bill, we find that it's the housing that they're not keeping up with every month. You'll get a bill from Student Financial Services, which is a central office at the university, also known as SFS, Student Financial Services. And you want to watch for those bills and make sure that you're up on your housing charges. And if you have any question about the bill, why the housing is the cost that it is, you take that to the housing office. But you have to pay it through your bill on Student Services Online, SSOL. We'll get to that later. Your full health insurance is covered on your student plan and your eligible dependents. So there's the link to see who qualifies as eligible dependents, and you want to make sure you have everything in order. So when the medical insurance goes live August 15th, that you have everything you need in place. And I'll talk about the registration, which is what starts to qualify you for utilizing your benefits from your student health insurance. If you take a medical leave, you have 1 semester that you are guaranteed covered for your medical insurance if you're on medical leave, and that's taken care of by the graduate school. You also have subsidies for your dental insurance plan, and it's different levels. There's different levels of the dental insurance. So you'll sign up for that, and it'll also give you the indication of the coverage that is paid by the graduate school. There's also accommodation for parental responsibilities for students who are expecting a child, and upon the birth of the child, there's accommodation for you to continue to receive your funding while you are a new parent. There's also childcare subsidy for students who have children, so that is available every semester as well. And there's also funding from the graduate school that you want to investigate the conference, the GSAS conference awards, the international travel awards. So you want to take a look and see what's available to you and make sure that you optimize everything while you're here. There's coverage for an internet fee, university housing. All university housing has internet, and there's a printing quota upgrade that if you choose to utilize the printing above the quota, that's also paid by the graduate school. And you have gym access through your service and support fee. So that will be covered as well. So we'll go to the next, it's the next slide's up. What's your responsibility? Okay, very important to pay attention to the rent. So that, as I said earlier, is the most important, and the issue that students, if they're going to be delinquent with their funding, it will be their rent. So there's a hold on the student account if the balance is above $1,000. And since the rent is all above $1,000, if you get behind on your rent, you're not going to be able to pre-register for the next semester, which comes up in November. And you want to be able to pre-register for the spring semester without any hold on your account. So you want to make sure to keep on top of your rent. You will be responsible every semester for a student activity fee, $46 each semester. And this is the support for the Arts and Sciences Graduate Council, which provides seminars and presentations for the graduate students and other functions and socials. So you wanted to be aware that you are responsible for that $46 each semester. There's a document fee. It's a one-time fee as you enter, as the first time you're registered as a student, the first semester you're registered, and this will give you transcripts from Columbia University for the rest of your life as often as you need transcripts, among other documents that they provide. And then you can see there's also other courses that will be your responsibility if there's course fees attached. And if you are late for registration, you have a deadline. You'll see you can see on the registrar's website the actual deadlines that you need to register each semester. And if you miss the deadline, you can be charged $100 late registration fee. So it's not just the first time this semester, it's every semester you need to be registered on time. And so we send out reminders to pre-register in November for the spring semester and in April for the fall semester. So you get ahead of the game, and we try to keep on top of the students who are not pre-registered to give the reminders, but it's your responsibility ultimately to make sure that you are registered on time, otherwise you'll be assessed a late fee. There's also, if you have an outstanding balance that goes, you can be charged a $150 late fee plus 1.5% of the outstanding balance on a monthly basis. So you just want to keep up with your keep up with your charges. And with the funding that is provided, you are able to do this. The students are able to do this with living expenses and the living the salary that you receive. And the withdrawal fee is only if you were to withdraw from the university. So hopefully no one here will ever need to know about that. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so registration. I tried to emphasize this early on when we started. It's the enrollment category. It's very important. So this is in addition to courses. So you register for courses in the first 2 years typically, and you also register for this registration category. And the registration category that you need to just pay attention to now for the first 3 years is known as a resident unit, a full residence unit. So you register for the residence unit and you register for your courses. If you do not register for the residence unit, you are not registered. Your charges do not apply to your account. Your payments do not go out. So you need to make sure to pay attention to the enrollment categories. This is incredibly important. And to register each semester, you have to register for an enrollment category. So the only thing you need to pay attention now for the first 6 semesters, the first 3 years, register for a residence unit in the fall and in the spring. And you do it in the pre-registration in November and April, and that will take care of it. And then you can add or drop courses, but as long as you have that residence unit registration, you should be all set. There are more details here about how the residence units apply and when you change, but let's not get into that now. The most important thing is that you pay attention to that. You register this fall for a residence unit. RU, full residence unit. So that's the acronym we go by, RU. You'll hear that, full residence unit for the first 6 semesters. There are other registration categories that will be applicable after after year 3, as you enter year 4 and 5 and so on. Then you have these other registration categories, and just keep this as a good place to refer to it when it gets to that point, or your DAF in your department can help you negotiate that and remind you and determine which registration category is applicable for you. So the next steps to do and to complete as soon as possible. So open this site for the Social Security number. You will need a Social Security number from the US government. So this is the link to the Social Security number application, and you can start that now before you enter the US. So you get that started and get it going, and that can be time consuming. So as soon as we finish with this webinar, if you can get on that link, that's incredibly important to get your payroll moving. The other thing you want to do, but you have to wait typically until you get to the United States, is open a US bank account, open a bank account in the United States upon arrival. And on the ISSO website, the International Students Scholars Office, they have suggested banks which are in our neighborhood, which are within walking distance to the university, and you can utilize those banks. But you can, any US bank that you want to set up direct deposit. So you'll be able to have your checks go instantly from the university into your bank account. Another task that is incredibly important is updating your address in Student Services Online, which is a site at columbia.edu. Student Services Online is where you will do most of your account information. And the most important thing is that you need to set up your US address as your local address. So that will be, we consider it your local address. So for the next 5 years, this is the US address that you have in your housing. We have to have a local address in order for your funding to be processed. You must also have your foreign address, and that goes in your permanent address. So you want to make sure to set these up correctly. Set up your local address as your US address, and more than likely a New York City address, and your permanent address. As an international student, you set it up in your home address, your permanent address in your country. So it's a foreign address. So that address should remain as a foreign address unless you change your citizenship. Your citizenship changes, then that's a different story, and that's gets involved with changing your permanent address. But for now, just have it as your foreign address. So you'll log into SSOL, and it's on here, ssol.columbia.edu, stands for Student Services Online. And you select addresses and view update, and you click the update on the local address to make any changes. Okay, so for the next slide, we'll see that we need to resolve any outstanding holds on your Columbia University account. So if you previously were a Columbia University student, you will need to make sure that you have your balance from your previous time at Columbia down to 0. And you also need to resolve any holds that you may have from any immunization. So even if you have immunization from another US institution, you have to comply with the immunization requirements at Columbia University. And that's another thing you want to link as soon as possible after this webinar. You want to take a look at this link and make sure that you know exactly the task at hand to make sure that your immunizations are complete and in compliance, because otherwise there'll be a hole in your account, and this will stop everything from happening as well, your registration, and also you have to get your holds removed before anything can go forward. And you need to provide your visa information to the payroll team. So our office will be reaching out with additional information. These two will come out in July in terms of what will be needed for your visa information. And that you work closely with the ISSO office, International Student and Scholars Office. Their website is very clear, very straightforward. It's a good website for you to become familiar with if you haven't already. And they know everything about visas, and they can help you walk through all the steps that are necessary. So to complete by Friday, August 2nd, mark your calendars that you should work directly with your departments to complete and submit all these required hiring paperwork. So the DAF in your department will help you with all of the forms that are generally required to receive your salary and to receive it on time. So we're trying to get you the salary on time, so you can receive everything as soon as possible in September. So by Friday, August 2nd, you want to have your W-4, which is an IRS tax form that needs to be submitted. You have a New York State tax form as well. They always start with IT, so that has to be completed. So your work authorization, your visa documentation, this voluntary race and ethnicity form, and your invention agreement. So that needs to be completed. Very important document, a form that needs to also be completed is the I-9. And that's a 2-part process. and that qualifies you to be eligible to work in the United States. And so carefully review the information that's available below on the site to understand the completion process and the documents that will be required to confirm and complete your I-9. So that link is very helpful and very complete, and it gives you all the information that you'll need about the I-9, but you will work generally very closely with the administrator in your department, the DAF in your department. So on the next page here, we go with the registration again. So there's a 3-day window to register for the residence unit, the full RU residence unit, as well as your courses. But most importantly, if I were you, on Tuesday, August 27th, I would log on and register for the full residence unit. And we put the call number here. It's the 12006. So it makes sure that you register for the correct registration category. And this is super important, but you have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Why wait? Do it on Tuesday, August 27th, first thing in the morning. Get that done. And then if you stumble or have any questions or something isn't working, you have 2 days to figure out what's going wrong. But no, this system works very well. And I don't anticipate any problems with this, but I would do it on Tuesday, August 27th if I were you, because that dictates everything going forward. So the next steps, update your address and direct deposits. So if all appointment paperwork is completed on time and without any issues, you should have an active appointment in PAC, which is People at Columbia. And this is where the payroll is processed. So beginning on September 3rd, that's when you will be live in PAC. And once you're active in PAC, you should complete the following steps prior to September 9th. So you have a small window. Again, I would do it on September 3rd. Mark your calendar that this is the date that it opens, and just do it right then. And again, if there are any unanticipated problems or outcomes that we don't see, then you have a few days to figure it out. If you wait till September 9th and it's closing, that's not the way to handle it. Let's do it early and get everything done. So you have to update your home address in PAC on a different website, my.columbia.edu. This will become very familiar. You'll be using this constantly while you're a PhD student here at Columbia. But that is the login, and make sure to note that September 3rd. So you'll select your view or update your personal information on the faculty and staff page. That is where you will be considered on the staff. You will scroll down to the resource section and click on the personal data tab. And from there, you update your home address by clicking the view and or update your personal data. So these instructions in this deck will be available later on. So you can be able to refer back to this when you get to that point on September 3rd. You want to enroll in direct deposit. It's advisable that this is the best way to receive your money and the quickest way to receive your salary from Columbia University. The instructions are at this site under the Student Financial Services, sfs.columbia.edu/direct deposit. So once you have a U.S. bank account set up, you can set up your direct deposit. So that's one of the first things you want to do as soon as you get to the U.S. is set up a U.S. bank account, so everything else can fall in line immediately and you can have your funds direct deposit. It's advisable to do this. If you have, otherwise it will go out in the U.S. mail, and we don't want checks lost that we have to stop and trace, and it gets very complicated and time consuming and delayed. The most efficient way to receive your funding is through direct deposit. And we're on the next screen. Here we are. And okay, so the funding disbursement process, you have your funding added to financial aid. The first steps is local address and student services online, SSOL. To get your direct deposit enrollment set up, registration in an enrollment category, all your holds need to be cleared, and have a social security number. Any of these are missing, no enrollment category, you cannot go on to have your funds applied to your student account. So your tuition and fees will be covered. They're paid by the graduate school, and we move the funds as soon as you register. They're queued up to be paid, so that way your charges are paid. That the charges are the responsibility of the graduate school, and the departments will be paid as soon as you register for the registration category, and then the funds can move. Until you're registered for that enrollment category, the funds will not move. So enrollment is confirmed in PAC, and then this allows for your payroll processing to occur semi-monthly, roughly every 2 weeks. each month. So if you have direct deposit, when the funds are issued, the salary funds are issued, you will receive them in 3 to 5 business days from payroll in your bank. If you do not have direct deposits, checks go out in the mail as a paper check to your local address, and that can take 10 to 14 business days, and it does take a long time. So you definitely do not want to take a chance with your payroll going out in the mail if it can be avoided. So September 13th is the first payroll processing date for the fall of 2024, and students have all the steps completed by the priority deadlines be included in the first process, which means that you would typically get your first payroll would be September 16th, 17th, or 18th in your bank account as a direct deposit. Okay, so the takeaways here, take action now as soon as possible. If I were you, I would follow all those dates that are outlined, hit those dates, open them the first day that they're open, so you can make sure that you have everything done early and it's all complete. And if you have any questions as you're doing the process, you're early in the process, and you have a couple of days to get everything, your questions answered or any help that you need to walk through. Apply for a Social Security number now, SSN, that's the acronym that we use. Open a U.S. bank account as soon as you can, clear your holds, complete your new hire paperwork, and update your address and enroll in direct deposit. The importance of the enrollment categories, I think I've emphasized plenty. So the registration is open between August 27th and the 29th. And you want to register for the enrollment category and at least one course, since you'll be taking multiple courses. August 27th, that's the day I would get on if I were you. So we are here to help you. We're in 107 Low Library. You're welcome to come into the office, or you can find us through email, or you can call us. So our numbers are published, and so it's easy to find us. And we are accessible, and we're here to help. I would start with the DAF, the administrator in your department first. They know everything, and they are the liaison, and they get in touch with us quickly if there's any piece that they need to bring us into. But we're always glad to help, and we're here to help you. So now we'll get to the Q&A portion of the seminar. Kate Jenkins will take over with that.
Hey guys.
Hi, Kate.
Thanks, Tom. So we do have one question. If I already have an SSN from working in the US before, should I do anything else? Because your social security number was not likely captured during the admissions process for your own privacy, there will be some point where you may need to supply that. If you are still on a visa, it will likely go through the ISSO, but you can reach out to Tom if you have questions. He should be your financial aid liaison for this period. And let me see other questions. Are there banks that Columbia suggests for international students to use? The ISSO does have some suggested banking information and how to set up a US bank account if that is something that's new for you. So definitely take a look at the information they have. They have some other really great, just sort of, if you're new to New York, resources for international students. So definitely take a poke around in the ISSO website. We've linked to that in this session. And as Tom mentioned, these sessions are being recorded and we're going to share them on the website. They'll be updated in the new student checklist, both the presentation as well as the recording in the next couple of days. So just take a look there. And other offices have items for you to complete in the new student checklist. So take a look at any other steps that you'll need to see or need to take action on sooner rather than later. I'm wondering whether there will be a move-in stipend or relocation, and relocation expenses as well as any other moving expenses that may be offered by the department will come along with any first pay cycle that's going to happen, because nothing can be dispersed to you as a student until you're registered, which is going to happen at the end of August. So if your department is offering any relocation funding or move-in funding, then that's going to come at the beginning or middle of September. To what extent, if any, can we have employment outside of the normal PhD duties? This is a great question. Can I be like a contractor or advisor on a project? Definitely the first place I would recommend that you touch base with is with your DAF and your DGS. There are limitations on how much you can work when you are on appointment outside of the appointment hours. And they're also going to be able to be the best resource to know whether there are opportunities to be, for instance, a grader or a reader for another course that you're not teaching. So check in with your department, but there are limitations. I think it's 10 hours a week that you can work outside of whatever your appointment is. So be mindful of that. Any other questions? I don't see any other questions coming in. Tax reporting procedures, tax withholding. So you will have taxes withheld from payroll. We do offer a tax workshop, as Tom mentioned, and you'll find information being announced about that in late February, early March, in advance of the April filing deadlines for US taxes. If I don't have an SSN, can I not get the stipend? So if someone's here for a stipend, you don't have to have the SSN for that process to begin, but you will be hounded by the university until that SSN is on file. And that's why we're recommending that as soon as you start all of these other processes, you begin the process to get an SSN. So it's not that you won't receive the funds. There could be a delay. There could be a change in the allowance of being able to process that before the SSN is on file. So be mindful of that. Again, do that as quickly as you can so that you don't have any of those delays. Could you explain again what the residence units are and what they're for? So the way that Columbia has set up registration at the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences is not based on the number of courses in which you're enrolled. Instead, it's based on this residence unit to designate you as a full-time student with certain duties or responsibilities, depending on what appointment you have as a graduate student or what your study plan is for that academic year. So as a new student, for the PhD program, you need to accumulate a total of 6 full residence units. The resident unit in place of the courses is what's driving that you are a full-time student and that you're registered. So it's an independent study is how it will look when you go to register with 0 credits, but it's the actual driver to trigger tuition and fees, regardless of whether you have other courses associated with your registration. So how do I register for that residence unit? Again, there's going to be information that will come out from Student Affairs, but within this presentation, you have links to SSOL. SSOL is where you will register ultimately, and you'll see an appointment time once registration opens August 27th for that 3-day window through the 29th. Registration appointments are generally not the entirety of the day, so it may not start for you until, say, 10 o'clock in the morning and end at 9 o'clock at night. So you'll be able to see those, I think, about a week in advance of when the registration occurs. So you can check in the week before online in SSOL and see upcoming registration appointments. But you won't be able to do anything until at some point in the day on August 27th. And at that point, you'll log into SSOL and it will walk you through adding courses. We've provided the call number for that specific course. You can already right now go into Virgil, which is the course catalog system, and begin to look at that information. If you want to explore what courses will be available, I suggest you just reach out to your department as well. They may have suggestions on courses that are recommended. Any other questions? No more questions. So I think we can wrap it up. Thank you again. And we're looking forward to welcoming you this fall. Again, the session is going to be posted on the website in the new student checklist in a short while. So don't, hesitate to reach out if you have questions after that.
Okay, sounds good.